If you're watching this video right when it comes out, I wanted to hop on really quickly and let you know that Start Your Surface Pattern Business is on bonus week. If you enroll before September 1st, 2021, you're going to get some special bonuses, including 2 major creative directors looking at your work and helping you critique your portfolio. So definitely check out the link below if you're interested in getting started, overcoming your obstacles, pitching your portfolio. Check out Start Your Surface Pattern Business. It's always a great course, but bonus week is extra special. As you probably have realized by now, running your own creative business is not all paintbrushes and rainbows. There's a lot of business tools that you need to run a business, to be a freelance designer, that don't revolve around Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop or Procreate or painting and cutting paper and all that kind of stuff. So today, I want to go over the main types of tools that you might need in your creative business, why you need them, and I also want to tell you my personal faves for each type of tool. In my course, Start Your Surface Pattern Business, I give a lot more details about some of these tools and tips on how to best use them, but this video will get you started as you work through. So the first type of tool you're going to need in your creative business is an email address. Sounds simple, right? Email service, right? And I use Gmail. I use Google Workspace, and through that, I get to have my professional email, which is hello@elizabethsilver.com, look like a typical Gmail inbox. And that means I get all the power of Google behind my work email. So I really love this. There's a lot of great plugins that I use for making my work life easier, and they all mix in with Gmail really nicely, and you can hook up a professional email. So like I said, it's my email address for work is not at gmail.com, it's at elizabethsilver.com, but I get all the power of Google when I use Google Workspace. The next major thing that you're going to need if you have a creative business is a website host. So you need somewhere to put your website up. You cannot rely on social media. You have to have your own website at some point. Maybe it's not the very first thing that you do. If you are not sure if you need a website yet, I have a whole article about this on my blog. I'll link to that below. But if you do need a website, and you probably do at this point, I love Squarespace. I have had Squarespace for 6 years now, and I used to have an HTML website that I programmed myself, and it was super difficult to make any choices, changes, or do anything really cool with it. And ever since I started with Squarespace, I can just play around, do whatever I want. I want to add a certain type of button, or I want to add a section where I'm talking about this or that. No problem, you can just add it in. So I really always recommend Squarespace to my students. They have loved it as well. And I go through a really detailed, step-by-step on how to set up a website through Squarespace in my course, but Squarespace does make it super easy. So you can really just dive in and figure it out. I am a Squarespace partner, and so that means that if you are interested in starting your website and you want to try Squarespace, you can sign up through my link that's in the description below. You get a 14-day free trial, which is really enough time to build a starter website. And then if you use code partner10, when you're checking out, you get 10% off. So check out my code below if you're interested in getting into Squarespace. The third thing you need for your creative business is some sort of art file management system, all right? After you get into it, you have client files, you have your own portfolio files, you have all these different assets, all this different artwork on your computer. You're going to need a way to organize that artwork. And I personally love Adobe Bridge. That is my solution for this. There are definitely other solutions, but Adobe Bridge is my favorite because it comes with the Adobe suite that I'm already paying for. And I also really love Adobe's Bridge because you can tag your work. put information in the metadata really easily. So then I can search, for example, all my artwork that has reindeer in it. I can tag everything to say reindeer, not in the title, but just in the metadata. And then I can search on Bridge and find all my reindeer artwork popping up. And so that has been invaluable to me. I have a whole course on Bridge, and I have information about that below as well. Love Adobe Bridge. The next tool you're going to need is a backup service. Do not skip this step, okay? You need to be backing up your work. Your hard drive is not enough for backing up your work. I have a close friend who had all her work for the last 3 years on her MacBook, and the MacBook crashed and suddenly was not working, and she thought that she lost 3 years worth of work, client projects, personal projects, her whole licensing portfolio. It was devastating. She sent it to the Mac store or whatever, and it was gone for 3 weeks. They weren't sure if they were going to retrieve it. I guess in the end they were able to, but it was all her files were gone for 3 weeks. Even 3 weeks is a long time to be without all your artwork, right? And she didn't even know if she was going to get it back. So she was able to, but let that be a lesson to you. You need to back up your files. So when I first started, I backed everything up on an external hard drive as well. So every month or 2 months, probably more like every 3 months, I would drag everything that was on my desktop onto a external hard drive as well as a copy. But now I also, besides the external hard drive, which I still do use, I also have Dropbox. And that means that everything that I create for clients is up to date. It's on Dropbox. It's also on my hard drive, and you can toggle syncing so that some stuff is only online and some stuff is on your hard drive, but it's all backed up on Dropbox as well as my external hard drive. So I have all my files, and I'm not going to have a meltdown if my computer has a meltdown. The fifth thing that I recommend all creative businesses use is some sort of social media scheduler. We cannot always be one-off scheduling our Instagram posts or our Facebook posts or whatever social media we use, and having a scheduler, something where you can do it in advance, makes it so much easier. I love Later for this. This is what I use as Later. And again, it's something I talk about a little bit more in Start Your Surface Pattern Business, but I like that it has a preview function so you can kind of see what your grid is going to look like if you schedule a couple designs in a row. And also it just takes the stress off if you're going on vacation, or honestly, even if you're not going on vacation, if you can schedule, a few weeks of social media and then not have to think about it again, that's amazing. So I love a social media scheduler. The next thing that you need is a time tracker, some way to keep track of your hours or your time spent on any given project. So for a tracker, I use Toggl, which is Toggl. And you can divide up things by project, by client. There's lots of different ways to choose how you're going to keep track of time. You can put it in manually. You can use a timer function by just kind of pressing start and stop. There's a lot of things that Toggl can do. The obvious use for tracking your time is if you work for an hourly wage. So if a client pays you by the hour, you need to know how much time you're actually spending on each project. But even if you don't work for an hourly wage, there are multiple uses for a time tracker. The first is if you're working for a per project fee. So let's say, I make an estimate of a certain type of, design that I'm going to create, and I say I'm doing it for this flat fee. I still want to keep track of the time that I do, especially if it's a new client and a new type of project, so that I can see if my fees are lining up with the time that's spent. I don't want to be giving a fee that is, let's say, $500 and then come to find out that I spent 50 hours on that project and I'm making $10 an hour. That is not, going to work out. If it's a new client and a new type of project, you might not be totally sure. So keeping track, even if you're getting that flat fee, is an important way to make sure your prices are in line with what you're doing. The other thing about time trackers is doing a time study can be a really great way to see where you have gaps in your business. So spending like a week where you track very carefully what you're doing throughout your business day or even throughout your whole day can show you much more clearly where you are spending way too much time on things, for example, scrolling on Instagram, and where you maybe could stand to spend more time, or potentially where you could hire someone to do something much faster than you could do it yourself, right? If you are creating YouTube videos, for example, and you are spending a really long time recording them and editing them and blah, blah, blah for a 5-minute video, you might find that if that takes you 8 hours, it might be worth it to you to hire someone who can do it in 45 minutes, right? So a time tracker can help you with that. Finally, the last thing that you can use in your creative business is sort of a bonus one. You might not need this yet. This might be something that you don't use until you're a couple years into business, but I have started using project management software, and my project management software of choice is Asana. I used to use Trello, but now I use Asana because Asana has similar board layout as Trello, which it didn't used to have. Plus you can do it in lists and there's a lot of different functions. So I really like Asana. It has helped me stay organized. I used to have planners, paper planners. I used to have a Google Calendar. I mean, I still have a Google Calendar, but depending on your ideas and your deadlines and what else you have going on, a project management system can really be invaluable, because my to-do list started getting wild, right? With my planner, I'd be like, all right, today I have to just, like work on this one project, and then next week I have to, this is due and whatever. But as my projects got more complex, for example, I started a blog and YouTube and started teaching courses. Each individual item had so many different to-dos involved, and there are so many moving pieces that having that project management system where I can kind of lay it all out and set those deadlines has been super useful in my business. There are lots of different types of tools that you might use in your creative business around artwork, but there are some very, very basic, important tools that you would use in your business, and hopefully giving you insight into some of my favorites helps you in your business in the future. If you love learning about surface pattern design and creative business, be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram at esilverdesign. Also, I would be super grateful if you shared this channel with your surface pattern friends.